What's up guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is David Hanlon, aka the Laptop Legend, and today I'm going to be talking about the continued updates on TSNP. Now, we got the exact morning panic that I was looking for, but it didn't panic as hard as I thought it was going to, so the bounce ended up failing, and it kept on fading down, and then, we'll discuss that. We'll get into that later. I ended up trading this a few times, and my executions were absolutely awful, so I'm going to show you guys what that means and why it is a danger of trading OTC stocks, so you have to be prepared for that. And yeah, overall today was a learning day, so hopefully there's some lessons that you guys can take away from this to be better prepared on this stock and OTC stocks in general. So let's dive into my laptop. Alright guys, I'm here at my computer and you can see there was a lot of interesting levels on the intraday support. So again, like I expected, we had a big sell-off right at the open. It's very typical if you guys aren't prepared for this at this point. I don't know how to help you because, literally every single day it's selling off right at open. So you have to be ready for that. But in this case, it tanked. We weren't sure how far it was going to drop. We really had no idea. I thought this could drop all the way down to 10 and test it right away. But it really didn't. It dropped in here. And I didn't want to miss the bounce this time. So I ended up chasing this one a little bit. And you can see, I'll show you a screen recording that I took in a second. I got horrible execution. I placed a buy order, and it took probably 20 or 30 seconds for me to get executed. And by that point, I got executed right at the top of the bounce. There was a massive bounce that happened in a very short amount of time. So I'm going to be talking about some lessons from that. But just looking intraday here, there's a lot of things that I just want to explain to you guys in terms of, technical analysis. So if we go here, just zoom in a little bit. It bounced, and you can see that it bounced off this level again right here at 11. So we know 11 is going to be an important intraday support level. But then here, bouncing, it's basically consolidating between these two levels at around 12.8 and pretty much 12, but it's actually a little bit higher than 12. And it's just literally going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, but getting smaller and smaller and smaller. And at this point, this is a very decisive move, whatever way it goes after that. So if you're holding through this position, you dip bought in here and you're trying to see if it can break out of there. If it breaks below this area, you know that you're going to be wanting to sell. And that's just, that's the nature of it. This is consolidation. This really was like just a wedge. And whatever way it goes after that, it tends to continue going that way. And you can see here that it absolutely did that. Once it broke down past this level, it broke down past this level, broke down past this level, and then it ended up breaking down past 11 even, which was the previous support there. And as soon as it does that, you guys can see it absolutely just destroys this support and goes all the way down under 10, which is why you have to be so careful and cut losses very quickly, if you see it breaking under these support levels, because you don't know how far it can keep dropping. And that's just something that I want to emphasize. I don't ever advocate buying something like this on a dip buy and then holding, through this stuff. I don't recommend doing it, especially when it's making new lows on the day. That's always a very scary sign. But then in this case, all these previous levels that I have on here from the morning, I just left them up, and they really proved to be continuous levels throughout the day. So, if we zoom in a little bit more here, it was having some consolidation. And same thing, like it used 11 as a support, and it literally could not break under it. But it really couldn't get back up to this next resistance level, and that's normally a bad sign. It's like a ball that bounces, and eventually it's going to fall down the stairs, so to speak. And in this case, again, that's what ended up happening once it broke down. But then overall, the trend today, we ended up getting a higher low on this. So you can see that this low is lower than this low, and then the same thing happens here. It bounces up, but we end up getting another higher low again, and then it's able to break out past this. It broke out past this, but it kind of, it barely broke out, and there was not really much. We had a little tick in volume there, but it just kind of, it didn't do much after it popped out over this high. So I was thinking, all right, I'm not really sure it can do it, so I'm just gonna wait. And then I ended up going to the gym right here, thinking that it was just gonna continue to fade, and it absolutely popped up. And this would have been a decent buy here as well, just because it was getting over this previous high, which was serving as the resistance. intraday, and that was a decent buy. You know, obviously you're not going to make a ton of money unless you have big size on this, but you know, you got a good dollar a share move there, and you know where the next resistance is going to be. So you know the next one's going to be at 12, but it ripped up right through 12 and was able to use that as kind of support, and then it bounced up, but then it bounced off this high right here that it couldn't break before. You see, like this line. I didn't, you know, move this over here. Like this is there from the morning, from within the first hour of the day. And we knew that this was going to be resistance because it was resistance here. It couldn't break past that. You know, if this bounce had been able to break past that and go red-green on the day, that's what this, you know, red dotted line is, this probably would have been a really, really good bounce play and it could have continued positive. But there was a lot of resistance there. And you see, it barely touched over it for a second, but there was not really any increase in volume there, you know? Really not any increase in volume. It kind of just, the volume faded, and that's a bad sign, you know. If it hits that level, maybe goes slightly higher again, but it fades off, you know, that's a bad sign. In this case, it broke down under 12, which is, you know, a bad sign, and it continued fading and broke down and was bouncing off 11. So moving forward, 11 tomorrow is probably going to open up, and I would expect if we have the same type of sell-off again that we've been seeing every morning, this could easily bounce and test 10. I mean, crack 11 and test the 10-cent mark. And then after that, you know, I'm not sure. I really don't know, because if this continues to crack, like I said previously, there's not a ton of support until we get to this area down here. But the thing is, it bounced off of 7.5 exactly last time. So that's going to be another key, I would say, resistance and support line to be watching. So if it bounces down there, you know, and it starts to have some support there, I would consider dip buying there, because it could potentially bounce there a second time. But it's honestly, it's just kind of, you know, it's one of those tricky situations here, because it saw the tank that we expected, but the bounce kind of failed, and it never got, you know, green again on the day. So I mean, the fact that it held 10 was a pretty good sign. But I think in the increased volume of the morning panic tomorrow, if it happens like it does pretty much every day, we could definitely break through 10. So it's just, you know, we got to wait and see. And that's why I prefer to not be holding a ton of shares, you know, intraday, overnight, all that stuff right now, just because we don't know where this stock is headed. This stock could just as easily head down to the 4-cent range as it could, you know, head back up into the 20-some cent range. All right, now really quickly, I just want to go into this trade that I made. I actually made 3 trades on this today. I lost on one because I got executed too slowly. I lost on another one because I got executed too slowly, and then I made, you know, some of it back on the next one, but I had to go, and then I ended up, you know, missing probably the best breakout, I would say, in terms of that ascending triangle breakout that I previously talked about. But here you can see this is right before market open, or I guess right at market open, 9:30. So again, you know, you see some green coming in, but it just, you know, it pretty much starts to go down right away, and they start coming in. It doesn't really get a chance to uptick much. I'm ready just in case it starts going. You know, this could have continued and taken off, but then you start to see those sellers come in. The 143,000 seller, big 330,000, and that's not a good sign, because at that point, boom, instantly cracks, and you know at this point it's going to test 13, goes all the way down. That's still a ton of big sellers. Continues down, test 13. If it starts printing 13 a ton, now you know it's under. Just not a good sign. In this case, I'm thinking, where can I dip buy this? Because again, like I said in my last video, I was expecting a panic at open that was going to allow it to have a good dip buy, but then to continue green. That's really what I was expecting. I wasn't expecting, you know, any type of continued sell-off all day long, a horrible all the way down to 4 at this point. So I'm looking, where am I going to dip buy this? And I'm still waiting, getting my finger on the trigger basically. Now it's cracking 12, all the way down to 11. I mean, pretty much instantly. But in this case, I'm seeing the buyers. There is some green there. Starts printing green. There's some big buyers coming in. So I'm thinking at this point, all right, I'm probably going to get in this. All right, now it's printing all green. And I waited too long to pull the trigger on this one. So you can see, you know, I waited too long. When you start to see, let me go back so you guys can see that again, just because that's so important. When it starts to print, this is live time, you know, live recording obviously. When it starts to print all these green, you see there's still some red here, but once all green. This is all green. That means there's some big buyers coming in, all the same size. And that's when I want to pull the trigger. And I was late on this one. And because of that, I got in right, as everyone else was buying. And look at this. It's open. It's open. This is a buy order that is open. I'm saying I will buy it for anything less than 14 cents. And I'm still not executed. Still not executed. Still not executed. Still not executed. This would never happen on a NASDAQ stock. Ever. Ever. This is insane. Look at all these buyers that are coming in. And I just missed that bounce. I'm thinking, oh my God. All right, I'm canceling this order. I missed the bounce. It's too late at this point. So I hit cancel. It should be canceled. Cancel order confirmation. And then they fill me. Oh, so frustrating, man. So this is what happens on OTC stocks, and you guys need to be aware of that. Just because, the execution is nothing like it is on NASDAQ. You can place a buy order at 2 cents a share above where it currently is on a stock like this, and you're not getting executed for 30 seconds, which is very frustrating. But I think it just has to do with how many buyers are coming in. So if you try to buy when there's a ton of buyers, you're not going to get executed quickly, which is why you have to do it before. I would almost be a little anxious on the trigger finger, click a little bit too soon, but with smaller size, and then be able to cut losses if it doesn't work out, because that's how you end up getting a horrible fill. And you can see now I'm down $60 on this trade already, and I end up cutting when it can't continue the bounce, and the bounce fails on this one. So that's just the moral of the story in this case is I hit it and I hit buy when it was under 12, and I didn't get executed until almost 13. Which is insane. You guys saw how long that took, and it's very frustrating. So make sure you place those orders as early as you can, because when there's a rush of buyers and you're a buyer, it's tough to get executed. If I was trying to be a buyer, when it was all these sellers, I'm getting instantly executed even on an OTC stock pretty much. It doesn't always take that long. It's not like when you're an OTC stock, you cannot get executed quickly, but it's more to do with the fact that there's so many buyers at that point. You could see just a wave of green, absolute wave of green, which is very frustrating. Especially the fact that you can't cancel orders instantly on OTC. So again, I cancel this order. You saw me cancel the order. I'll do it again. Cancel order. I hit cancel. And then they fill me. They fill me after I cancel. So it's very frustrating, but hopefully you guys can learn from my mistake and, get some better executions on this. In terms of the future of this stock, honestly, we just have to wait and see at this point. It could really go either way. I'm not convinced. If it cracks under 10, that's going to be a bad sign unless it holds 7.5. If it breaks under that, this is probably going all the way to 4 or 5, I would imagine, if not lower. If it continues to bounce tomorrow, that's a different story. But at this point, there's not much in terms of the chart that's really telling me which way it's going, besides, the head and shoulders pattern that at this point hasn't really been rejected because it's continued down. So I would be slightly on the more bearish side for this tomorrow, but again, I really am not sure. I can only respond to what the chart shows me. So you guys need to be prepared and just, have a plan for whatever the stock does. Don't think, oh, it's for sure going up tomorrow, so I'm going to hold my 100,000 shares and then watch your portfolio drop, 75% tomorrow. I would hate to see that. So just have a plan. If it drops under 10, what are you going to do? If it spikes, up to 20, what are you going to do? Are you going to take profits, etc.? So don't go in without a plan, because that is ultimately how you fail. Anyways, that is it for this video today, guys. Hopefully you can learn from my mistakes and continue to be a better trader, which is what I'm trying to do overall, and continue to make more money online from home, because it's nice to make money from your basement. So with that being said, remember to like this video if you haven't already, if you made it this far. Subscribe if you are not already. Turn on those post notifications to get these videos as soon as they come out, and I will see you guys in the next one. Until then, let's grow better together. Preguntar, bebé, dime por qué te mientes. No puedes esconder todo lo que tú por mí sientes.